Hi there, it's Angèle. July 1st, 12:22 p.m. I'm going out. It's Canada Day, so I'll be going out later. I wasn't planning to do a video, but here it is. I guess I'm just going to do short ones when there feels like there's something to talk about. I'm calling it prescriptions, but prescriptions in quotations because it's so many, so many ways you can think about that. I know typically used in the English language, it means medications given by doctors. And I guess that's part of why I'm choosing to come on today. I think I'll just start with sharing my screen. And I made a post yesterday because I had an interesting day, which I didn't share completely in this post, but I shared somewhat. And oh my goodness, how can I share? Share settings, remove. Oh, I updated this and now it doesn't look the same. That's why I had trouble last time too. Da, 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 da. Share screen. Where's the share screen? Oh, no, no. Host tools for share. Okay. Host only. Yeah. Here we go. Oh, there it is. Okay. Contact content only. Over the shoulder. Okay. Well, yes, we're going to do that. Oh dear. I don't mind showing my messy little desktop. Let's make this bigger. So yeah, here's my post that I posted yesterday. Pictures that I took. Let's take a closer look at that. So I am on the LRT, Light Rail Translate. And I didn't even notice at first, but then here I am like one stop later. This is McKernan stop. And Wegovy. And then I looked and all across the top on both sides, I'm like, Wegovy, what? And then what's the next picture? Ask your doctor for Wegovy by name. Visit wegovy.ca. And I'm like, that just felt so weird to me. I just like, what happened? Where did I land? How can this be? Like, and then I go on and I was just like, what? I'll tell you more about why I'm on the LRT in the first place. And then I came home and I was thinking about like, I am going to make a statement to Edmonton Transit System, which is City of Edmonton owned. I'm like, what? Why would there be a car filled completely and only with advertising? And I remember back in university, I didn't ride the bus that much except for during university times because I used to live in St. Albert. It was a long bus ride. And there would be all kinds of variety, this and that. And so, you don't look that much, but there were things sometimes that would be of interest, especially like what's going on around town or whatever. Like it was just such a variety. And here I'm just like, whoa, I felt like I woke up in The Giver, that movie, The Giver. I'm like, oh my God, what's it? It just felt weird. It just struck me strange. And then I, for whatever reason, I felt to let my son know on like hours later once I got home showed him the pictures and I'm like, what the heck? And I was thinking, I thought it was illegal to do direct to consumer. So I looked it up and I found this little tiny summary. Direct to consumer advertising of prescription drugs is illegal in Canada, including Alberta. Because I asked, when did it become Alberta or whatever? And then I get this. But reminder advertising was allowed starting in 2000. This type of advertising can mention the brand name without making health claims. And I'm like, the year 2000? Really? And I guess I make an active effort not to take in any kind of marketing. I just really try to minimize my marketing in every which way I can, despite the fact that it's weird. Anyways, we all have our own choices to make about that. But imagine a world without marketing. Boy, I can, and it would be so cool. Yeah, I guess I'm just going to take this. Oh, anyways, why don't I finish this thought and I'll tell you about imagine a world about marketing. So, yeah, I guess that probably says it all. I gave strong feedback to Edmonton Transit to refrain from these reminder ads. This to me is a super bad idea. I am that person today calling this out. I mean, I've heard just by the by and even firsthand people talking about this drug Ozempic that somehow a lot of people felt, due to our weird society and people don't want to be overweight or whatever. And I don't know, it just has a real bad vibe to my optimal health intuitive sensibilities. But yeah, and then I couldn't help but end it with a question because I mean, I'm curious whose brainchild resulted in this shift for Canada's. And basically, it's like the pharmaceutical lobby. Like, that's the answer that I'm guessing. I could be wrong, and I don't mind being right, or I don't mind being wrong, and I don't mind being real. But I was literally questioning myself, Angel, why is this having such a big impact on you? And my own self was like, because it's important. But yeah, anyway, I did that. What else? I might as well show you a couple. I guess I was just going to show you my Joker's Wild page. Oh, how come you're not switching to that? Oh, because it's here. There we go. A Joker's Wild, which is my humor page, but I call it my first chakra page. I just have to write this out here too. I'm going to just make this big. Oh, voting, giving grown adults the illusion of control. Our collective decision-making infrastructure. It's just, I really have concerns. And then this one I've also pinned to the top. I watch it all the time. Are we going to watch it now? Oh my goodness, I'd have to optimize for video sharing somehow. Let's see how it's up. Now that this new thing, la, la. Optimize for video sharing. Let's just listen to this guy. I don't know. I just find this so funny and so good. Oh.
And how much we can find out and what it takes to get there. So first we have to decide how much do we want to find out. So let's say in this case, I want to find out at a level of 7. Okay, so I find that level on my graph and I come horizontally to my gradient line. Where it intersects with my gradient line, I'm going to come straight down to where it intersects with my fuck around line. That there is going to tell me how much I have to fuck around to find out what I need to find out. See, as you can see, the more you fuck around, the more you're going to find.
Anyway, so I just noticed, yeah, I originally had shared on my Sovereign Fun page in 2022. Let me just stop share for a moment. Oh my goodness, there it is. Like sovereign, that word, I think triggers a lot of people. And I've come to learn through various ways. Police officers don't want to hear it. They don't like it. It makes them think they've been messaged to say, oh, people who call themselves sovereign, it's like it's a bad thing. It's like it's a dirty word somehow. And my parenting partner is a physician and a surgeon, and he and his wife is a lawyer. So they had gone on a cruise because it was covering medical legal, so they both could write it off, I guess, and have a cruise or whatever. But I'll never forget, he came home and was talking about how they were giving a lecture about sovereign. And so they were basically all being indoctrinated that sovereign people are these bad rebels, they're revolutionaries. It's like, when did sovereignty become a rebellious act? It's like, what is the meaning of sovereignty? Because I guess I'm talking today about biological sovereignty, but also social coherent sovereignty. I just made that up just right now. I'm just going to look up sovereignty. Why don't I just be in the moment here? So I know I'm kind of reluctant to use it with any professionals because I recognize that it triggers them. The quality of being or state of being sovereign or of having supreme power or authority. Oh, that sounds, the status, dominion, power, or authority of a sovereign, royal rank or position. So I think that's where people like, oh, you're feeling so big to be sovereign. Oh yeah, these are terrible. Supreme and independent power or authority in government as possessed or claimed by a state or community. Rightful status, independence, or prerogative. I like that one. That's the fourth definition. A sovereign, yeah, so I guess sovereign is another one of those English words is like, it means this, that, this, or so when you use it, the person's hearing it from their filter and you're using it from yours. So I guess sovereignty, I've started using the word natural, like natural. We all have natural organic rights to be in our body. We were born here on this planet and, like all the animals and plants, many people in the sovereignty movement might say, who decided we have to pay to live on the planet we were born on? I've watched a lot of sci-fi and we could transcend that. We could evolve beyond that, I know that's a really big step for people, but biological sovereignty, oh my goodness, yeah. The reason I was on the LRT yesterday was because I got a call from someone I love who had just received the booster diphtheria, pertussis, tetanus, and polio, which I know from my medical training, they recommend adults get that booster every 10 years. And what I noticed in practice and never worried about, most people will just never get it, right? Like, and then you get a little cut and they go, oh, we want to give you a booster. It's like, no, thanks. But anyways, I regret that I got vaccinated. I know that's also another triggering issue, but yeah, I just don't know there's always more than one way to approach things. And I just feel like there's a little narrow focus. And I remember I literally remember in training feeling like, oh, vaccines, one of the greatest discoveries to help health. Like I really, really sincerely went into medicine because I wanted to help people's health. And it didn't take me long to realize, oh, wow, I don't think I'm helping anyone here. And by the end, I couldn't even write a prescription. So I guess I'm talking about prescriptions, like my favorite thing to do as a practicing family physician. And the last time I practiced, I was just practicing. It felt like futile work, spitting into the wind. And I just kept saying, like, I have a unique way that my mind works, but I just couldn't stop myself from recognizing what I'm doing here is futile. I really sincerely believe that. And I think what it was is this intuitive capacity that I naturally have. And I guess we all do. It's just that my natural interest in health and wellness, I chose to be a doctor for lack of a better idea, though. Like, it wasn't like I was like, oh, doctor, I really want to be a doctor. But many people were there for different reasons than myself. But yeah, so by the end, I mean, my favorite thing to do was take people off prescriptions. Only from a little simple demonstration from a geriatrician in my training who said, oh, get people to bring in all their stuff in a paper bag, like everything they take over the counter. And then I just thought, oh, that's a really good idea. Just simple. Everything's so too simple to be true. And I know doctors, and the way we're trained is to make it so complicated. And once you give someone a prescription, they feel like, oh, I try to tease people away from their medication. Oh, let's try reducing this. And they were like, no, doctor, the doctor put me on for a reason. So anyways, I heard that over and over and over. And very few people took me up on my offer. And I'm like, I'm out. Like, I'm a bit lazy and I don't like futile work. And I've made my work as a physician really drove some really foundational things. I do not wish to do futile work. I just proclaim that. And it really has animated my life because I don't actually work in any tangible physical way to receive money payment since I retired in age 45. But I mean, I'm in a unique situation where I was able to finance my life outside of that. And and many times I think, oh, like my indoctrination, my entrainment, think I should really do something. I mean, I'm capable of doing so much, but I do get bored and I don't like futile work. So if you really proclaim that I do not want to do futile work, like I could literally see myself enjoying a life right now where like whatever the community needs, like we have grocery stores, I would work 2 shifts a week, maybe, or 1 week shift a week, maybe a 4-hour shift. Like, I'm just putting this out there to give this idea that we could function in a different way. And I think everyone wants to naturally, it's a natural human desire to just help in the community in a way that aligns for you. But I wouldn't want a full-time 40-hour-a-week job doing that. But I like going to restaurants, so maybe I'd work in a restaurant once a week. Maybe I'd have 2 different ones that I love and I would work there for 4-hour shifts or 6-hour shifts. Like it can all get done and we all would be free to choose. I'm just dreaming out loud here. I've been emboldened by my own dreams, as I shared in my last video. They shifted me. Just those 3 dreams I mentioned in that video. I'm like, ooh, this is what is possible for a human being is a question I often ask. And it just seemed to expand my idea, like, oh, it might not be, we're kind of entrained to thinking, oh, you need to speak to one-to-one. I might have to do some kind of practice one-to-one. I will tell you right now, I am willing to communicate with anyone who felt kind of inspired to, like, as I guess I could, for lack of a better word, I could call it patient advocate. But it might be one discussion, only one. Something I learned along the way, and partly through my huge download that I received October 2012 when medicine witnessed what they call psychosis, which I call an out of the ordinary experience. It was phenomenal. And in the end, it was such a gift. And I was just literally just being shown everything you see here, 180 degrees backwards opposite to what could be done for health. And I just took that in like, yeah, that feels so true. And so in the process of, that was in 2012, now here we are, 2026, I often hear in my mind, do the opposite, do the opposite. So a family physician, just think of how they work. I would prefer and love and enjoy and be very soul nourished to work in kind of in partnership with any person who felt inclined, but exactly the opposite how I was doing. I will not take notes. If you feel to take notes, go ahead. If you want to record it, go ahead. I will not take responsibility for things that go wrong for you. Like the opposite of how it was done when I was a family physician. Oh, it's just kind of fun. And I wasn't planning to say this, but all this is coming out. Okay, I won't take, yeah, like all the opposite. So like I cannot, and I'll tell you why I will not take responsibility for anything goes wrong. I cannot take responsibility for your belief systems. And I think there has to be, and I may even talk to you and go, oh, I'm sorry, I think let's chat. Or here's some reasons why I don't think I want to offer too much to you right now. I mean, I don't know. I'm just imagining. There's a threshold of believability that we need to raise. I mean, if we're all got this subconscious programming, I mean, it's been entrained and we were educated for years and years and years and years. And some of us, like myself, how many years was it? 12. I didn't go to play school, but I went to kindergarten, grade 12, 6 years, and then 2 years. So that's 8 plus 13, 21 years. That's a lot. That's a lot. And it just, all this kind of ideas get, they create a like kind of a meshwork, a framework in our thinking. In our thinking, that's where the that's where the changeable place is. So I cannot take responsibility for the hidden subconscious programming that might be running your world. All accidents are preventable. Think about that. So if you've had an accident, there's something in your thinking. I proclaim this right now that is not organic and optimal and natural yet. Anything is possible, but it's not there yet. So when I talk to someone who's had a lot of accidents, especially in recent time, I take notice. I'm like, ooh, okay, like, ooh. It's a hard thing to address. Anyway, yeah. So I take notice. I don't want to do futile work, and yet if I were to talk to someone, you meet someone where they are and you just kind of get a sense for, hey, here's some ideas that came to me. I can vibe for other people. However, it's better if you vibe for yourself. However, I know that like I had one case and I've shared it on a video before where she called me, wanted to get an intuitive session. I'm like, oh, I don't do sessions. She goes, oh, I was told by Martha Burkett, who's now passed. She was a close collaborative friend and did crystal sound healing sessions, sound baths. So she heard about me because Martha kept, when we first met, she was like, oh, there's this intuitive in Edmonton. And she was in Banff at the time, living in Cochrane. So anyways, I get occasional phone calls from people saying, oh, I don't really do sessions. And then this woman just persisted, goes, oh, Martha recommended I want to. And she happened to live in the Edmonton area. So she came and met with me. And I'm like, oh, like I was always so tentative because I know I want to do the opposite of how I was in family physician. And I remembered when I was a family physician, how many times people just get they project all their self-doubt and worthlessness and futility feelings on the doctor. Like I'm like, oh, this is such an uninspiring profession. Almost everyone who talked about their family physician experience was a negative one. Like, oh, blah, 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 this and that, blah, blah. And I'm just like, you need to take more. And I'm my mind, and it didn't have the guts to say it. You need to take more responsibility for yourself. And then some people will just continue going to that doctor, continue telling bad stories about them. I'm like, I would change doctors if I was you. Well, I even have an example of that with my own maternal grandmother, and that did not go well because I did, with love in my heart, I shared with her, why are you going to that doctor? She fire two little dragons were like, she was hating on me for saying that to her, and that was very traumatizing for me personally. So anyways, yeah, we get our traumas in the way that we do. So I'm like, people don't like to be told that. Okay. But of course, that was a very personal thing in your family structure. She's the matriarch. And I said something that in my youthful confidence as a professional that seemed like just really practical advice. And it did not go well. So yeah, I mean, this moment I'm really, oh, no wonder I'm shy. I never even made that connection until just now. But yeah, that's how it works. Have I said enough about this? Oh, I'll give, well, I guess I'm going to put links to my Facebook, and if anyone felt, reach out, and I would offer 30, 40 minutes with no energy. I mean, the energy exchange would just be gratitude and collaboration, because I mean, I don't feel to charge money for this at this point. And yeah, because if someone felt inspired, I can have a conversation, 30, 40 minutes, and it might only be that. And yet, if I was inspired and things felt mutual, there has to be a mutual agreement. So that's the other thing. As a doctor, patients come to you and you might really not like working with them. And it's a little tricky to say goodbye to them. And I have done that a few times. In my short little 5-year career, there were 3 that I said goodbye to. Well, one kind of said goodbye to me. It was a mutual saying goodbye to, and she put in a complaint to the College of Physicians and Surgeons, which I share about in a story called Never Say Never. Didn't plan to, but as I was writing, I ended up sharing about that. So I won't repeat that here. Oh, maybe I'll put that in there because it's my Cole's notes for medical school. I was just lighthearted. It was written in over a decade ago. But actually, I clown around and had trouble speaking truth in a more forward, grounded way because of the trauma that I've received in this lifetime and others, for speaking truth. So that's the way it is. But do the opposite. I want to really put that, do the opposite. So the idea that allopathic medicine wants to just prescribe all these chemical, pharmaceutical things, they just have their eye in the microscope looking only at the chemistry. And in my last video, I just talked about we need to pan out, pan out, pan out, pan out. What is optimal human health? What does it look like? We don't know. I would proclaim we don't know yet. But we could keep asking that question and start framing our collaborations and explorations and discussions in a completely different way. And that's what I was trying to do with my last video. Oh, let me just go to my share. I don't know if we're going back to that. I felt like I could almost feel telepathic questions coming in. That video wasn't viewed by very many people, but I suspect that what was really clear to me might not be clear to others. But maybe someone will interview me and we can do it that way because yeah, it's just, you do the best you can. Oh my gosh, how come the shares is so different now? What the heck? I gotta do it this way. Yeah, I guess, okay. Hello. No, not that way. Oh. And I keep having to relearn it over and over. That's where upgrades to these tools is kind of annoying. Yeah, like there's no obvious button like there used to be. How about here on the video? Host tools. Okay, host tools. There we go. Oh, no, that's not it either. Participant one. Remove host tools for participants. Remove from two. I think it's got to be under this more. More. That is sort of weird to share. Share here. Let's go there. Okay, there it is. There it is. Yep, so there's that. Yeah, I guess I was just thinking, I think of this often, the police state of mind, but just Bovera University shows all, like I say, I don't want to do futile work. I've shared my ideas in so many different ways on so many different Facebook pages. So on bovera.ca, Bovera University, where willingness is the only requirement, I want to emphasize, for Edmonton, for Alberta, and the world. I was thinking big that day. Vision is, I'm just going to read some of the memes. Vision is the art of seeing what is invisible to others. A vision for the future, the anatomy of a miracle. This is going to be the what do you call it, the thumbnail for this video. Life is too hard, I can't do this. Snap out of it, you create your own reality. And the police state of mind, I just love this little boy pretending to be a policeman. But that's one I think of a lot. And I tried to express something there and whatever, that was years ago. What year did I, let's just look at it. Yeah, something that happened in September 2017, but I think it was December 2020 where I finally wrote it out. Yeah, I wrote out a bunch of stuff. No, I'm not even gonna read that. This existence isn't about learning to accept reality, but rather remembering your power to create it. What is reality? What is a human being? And a big reason why I have been slow to speak up is because I don't really understand what reality is. I really can admit that. And yet, I think it's very different than how we were trained and educated to believe. So how about that for a sound bite? But I just wanted to go down and emphasize something. And I was looking for that torus field. This is what I believe is part of optimal human health, is a very strong and without holes electromagnetic field that we generate from within and surrounds our body and is part of how we interact with reality fields, how we literally render reality from within. So that's a little soundbite as well. But anyways, all the most recent ones are kind of shown here. I was quiet, but I was not blind. Yeah, I was quiet, very, very quiet. But anyway, and when you go down here, you can just see my main Facebook page. It's Beautiful Truth with a link, Agent Angel, Manic Ministrations, Disabled Angel, Authentic Family, Captive Gypsy, Joker's Wild, Sovereign Fun, How to Make Dreams Come True. I like that page. Physics of Consciousness is the one that's collected the largest audience. I think it's about 20K, and yet I don't see a lot of, interactions or likes. But basically, I'm using all these Facebook pages. It's more like a spreadsheet. I just need to put something somewhere. And when I'm in the right mode, I will review and it's there for me. Because when you're living in the now and you're in your optimizing reality fields, there's no requirement for you to keep all of that stuff in your mind all at once. But I can access and I put them in solutions. Okay, fucked up, focus on solutions. This one is a dead link because in, I think it was about March or June of 2020, that page was completely removed without recourse, 100% deleted. And I did start up a second one called Fufos, Fufos, which you could look up if you wanted. There's very little on that. And I love this page though. What I did with this page initially, the one that's completely deleted, was times when I saw how the mainstream media focused on something and how I experienced it in real time with the real people. So that I can't really reproduce that because in the moment I would document it and then boom, oh boy, I put something there in the wrong time and then some therapeutic pages. Most of the only ones that get a little attention, Music is the Doctor, Movie Medicine, also completely deleted without recourse when I posted about Captain Fantastic with Viggo Mortensen. Said some things I guess weren't allowed again in the early COVID 2020 era. Yeah, most of the Optimal Health, I do put things there sometime. This is just recipes, not a very good page for navigating, I should say. I love it, but and then Art Antidote, minimal, Cartoon Therapy, minimal, Vera Studio, rarely ever there. But Music is a Doctor, I do post quite a bit. Let's just go there and see. What was my last post? Oh, I see. It's not to the page. It doesn't have the page. It just has, I had 3 different ones the love sign. Let's just see what that was again. A really short little, okay, whatever. Let's go back. So anyway, yeah, I put things there. Is there anything under video? Oh, not really. Anyway, that's what I have to say about that. What else did I? And I'm going to just make notice of this. I have watched this much, 4 minutes, 46 seconds of a video called The Psychological Trick That Keeps You Obedient. And I'm going to link it here. It might not be for everyone, but I'll tell you, I'm going to stop share and tell you why I like it. So far, I've only watched, I adore comedians. I think they have a really gifted way of talking to us about ourselves. Okay, 28 minutes. I'm really trying to keep this under 40 minutes. And so this guy claims to be a comedian. He's obviously run into problems as I do. Sometimes you link things in copyright. So he's a fan of Downtown Abbey. I have never seen that show, but I actually loved what he said about it so far because he was saying, how is it that a show telling you how it is and like kind of in today's terms, the 1% ultra rich and everybody else is not, or now we've got a few more categories, but in Downtown Abbey, looking back to the past, and he was just saying like, how is it that everyone adores this show when it's really kind of not a very optimal state of affairs that it's producing. So anyways, I'm going to be watching that, but he does speak to just how we get anesthetized with our own creation sometimes. However, and he does already make the statement, when you become aware of it, I think he says it in his description, when you become aware of these things, then they don't have that anesthetizing impact on you. Because I personally, oh my God, the last couple of years, me and sci-fi, I just love it. I am such a big viewer of sci-fi creative productions, movies, television series, and I'm like, is this really good for you, Angel? And lately, oh my God, the last one that I just started not too long ago was called Battlestar Galactica. And I kind of remembered because I love sci-fi even as a young person, but back in the day, again, I don't make too much muss and too much fuss. And I remember watching it. I don't couple times or whatever. But in those days, you had like a TV, cable, and I just didn't bother. I never found the time and went there. And I wasn't a very committed person, but I must have watched it a couple of times. I always remembered it in my mind. And then because I'm such an enthusiast with sci-fi, I now get shown, like on Facebook, I like to look at some of these pages that are, and sometimes they'll say, what's your favorite sci-fi that you must watch? And I'm always keeping an eye on what everyone's talking about. So that's how I came across like Farscape. I had never heard of it before, but because I'm a sci-fi enthusiast, I thought I was a sci-fi enthusiast. And then of course, there's always more, there's always more. So that's a couple years ago, but I really like that one too. And I've come to understand why I love sci-fi so much. But anyways, Battlestar Galactica was coming up. I'm like, I almost hauntingly remembered watching an episode or two. But like, oh, funny, I locked on to the Star Trek. But Star Trek is it's a little easier somehow. And I know Gene Roddenberry had a vision, keep it family friendly. So he kept out some of actual reality because when you compare Star Trek to Battlestar Galactica, like I'm watching it going, oh, I don't know if this is good for you, Angel. Like just at first I just thought, oh, I don't think I'm gonna watch this. But my own self was like, yeah, watch it. There's something in there for you, something in there for you. I'm like, what? Like I couldn't get it. But I'll tell you a couple things that have struck me. Number one, it really depicts quite well the human characteristic of, well, it kind of shows a true, what I can see is an actual quality that shows up in our world. Like the man and the sexy woman, and the kind of impact a sexy woman or someone, especially when both are unhealed. But anyways, but at the same time, some of them are kind of more healed, but they have a way of complicating it. But at the same time, because they show this weirdness, it actually struck me as like, okay, I haven't done the deep dive into who wrote this and anything about them yet, but I will, because I'm like, actually, I literally watched one or two. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to watch anymore. But I'm like, yes, you are. So I keep watching it. And then, boy, by the third or fourth, I'm like binging it like 3 and 4 at a time. And I think I've done 5 one night. I was like, going to bed at 2 a.m. I'm like, oh, Angel, no, why are you binging Battlestar Galactica? There's some lame sides to it. But at the same time, I think I'm really impressed with I've never seen a show, or I can't recall in this moment, I'm not recalling a show, but they really show some of what's real in our world right now about politics and war mentality, unity, division, divide and conquer. Is this person a terrorist? Are they revolutionary? Are they a sovereign? Like they're really playing around with the sovereignty issue and collaboration and unity, but also the strength of love when a man and woman love each other and when they create a baby. It's like, oh, but there's these Cylons. It's like, Cylons, what do they say? They were created by us. They keep saying this at the beginning of every episode. They were created by us. And they evolved and they revolted or something. And there are many copies. Anyways, it's like, oh, frightening. They're like, ah, there are many copies. But anyways, in the end, I'm halfway through second season and there's something there, but it's not super comfortable, lots of it. But looking at the truth is not super comfortable. How about that? And it's not to say that this is an epic perfection of the truth, but they're showing to me, good sci-fi will put humans in a strange environment that's a little bit different and then see how they evolve, respond. But a big one that's another thing that this one shows is like rule breakers, wild cards. Like the Cylons are so predictable because they're robots or whatever that they almost make it look ridiculous. Like, oh, they are just so easy to kill. Oh, 10 of them, boom, 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 boom. Anyway, some of the space fights are pretty ridiculous. But at the same time, everyone's got their own opinion. But they show, a lot of different strong characters who are rule breakers, have their own history. Of course, there's a father-son situation in the army, and it's got something to show us about ourselves. And then the idea of when a man and woman fall in love, and then they're wanting reproducing, like that becomes a bit of an issue because the human race is quite small in like Battlestar Galactica. And of course, I really, truly, 100% do not believe in all of that apocalyptic stuff. No, I don't. We are way too resourceful, way too adaptable, and there's way too many wild cards on the board right now. So yeah, okay, this is such a strange video in a way. Was there something else I wanted to talk about? 35 minutes. That could be cool. Let me just double check with myself. This is something I wanted to say. I guess I really do want to encourage people to, oh yeah, I guess this idea of chemical incarceration. Anyone taking a prescription medicine, I lightheartedly call it chemical incarceration. Optimal human health does not involve pharmaceuticals. It doesn't even involve supplements. However, our food supply ecosystem, everything mirrors back to us, including even our creative productions. Okay, that's a new idea just popped in my head that was not at all part of this plan. But the movie Disclosure Day that's come out by Steven Spielberg, I have kind of at first thought, I'm not watching that. I just thought I wasn't. I heard a few people say different. But anyways, I noticed I've watched quite a few different people responding to it. And I quite liked Alexander Quinn's response to it. He said, look at it as a mirror of ourselves. And so like, I'm not going to go to a theater and watch it, but I might end up watching it. Who knows? But he really felt like it mirrors back to ourselves. And he's also reminding us like, some people didn't like it because they thought it gave too much empathy towards the gray aliens, which is one type that many people have had experience with, I guess. But it's not so easy to figure out what's a human being, what's reality. And we look at reality through our filters. We render reality. Like the idea that, anyways, Alexander Quinn, I'll find his video about that. Actually, I'll link it in because you could watch that. And I thought he did a really good, because I listened to many different people. I've seen people live it and hating it, saying it gives too much empathy towards the grays. And I kind of take it in, okay, am I even going to watch this? And I may or may not watch it. Who knows? I got to finish Battlestar Galactica first. So I'm going to find that Alexander Quinn to put it in there in case anyone's interested to what I felt was the most interesting response to that movie yet. Yeah, like the idea that, gosh, I see it so clearly. And oh, if you can get it telepathically here, we're all connected. When we're functioning more optimally, because I don't even think I'm in optimal human health yet, but I know I can. I know that I can. I don't know. I'll figure it out and it will be easy. It may take great courage or it may not, but we're all interconnected and we're, as a human race, there's sort of a field of a knowing field. How about that? And we all contribute to it and take from it. Oh, I've never said that before. I love that. The knowing field is a term they use in family constellation therapy, but just the idea that anything that can be known is available in the knowing field. And so when you ask the optimal questions, you get that optimal. You get the answer comes to you, but it might come in weird ways, not as zoop into your head as you might think. But as you attune yourself, you get to understand, or someone just says something tomorrow to you, like, oh, there's the answer to that question I asked yesterday. And then sometimes it's like 5 minutes later, a person phones you, and then, yeah, you can be like that. Like the quicker it is, it can kind of be startling and it can kind of freak you out, but it shouldn't. It shouldn't, because it is natural. I honestly think it's natural. So you have the capacity to contribute to the knowing field. Because I remember with that Star Wars Strange New Worlds episode about Subspace Rhapsody is my very favorite of that series. And I've even made a video that's quite inexpert in a lot of ways, but of why. Because I think it's just showing a model of how we're going to do it in the real world, in the real life. It's about frequency, right? It's about frequency, it's about attunement and da 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 da. So what was I getting? Yeah, what I just said there, I really like. Just the idea that, even the sci-fi, like I came in as a soul for a reason onto Earth, as we all did. And maybe Angel's had contribution into all this sci-fi. Just putting it out there. And all of you guys too. Like what comes to us via our creative people who choose to focus in that creative way and make movies and TV shows, where do they get their ideas? Where do you think? So anyways, just consider you're contributing. Every artist you see, every musician you see, every creation you see, every home you've ever seen be built, clothes, like you might have expressed. I've had this feeling in my mind. I remember as I was really into my house and renovating, I would say, oh, I wish I could have this exact thing. And I had it in my mind, exactly like this. And then 2 years later, it would show up in the market. But of course, maybe I already did something. Yeah, and then I just get really clear visions of what I want. And then boom, it's not available anywhere I can see. And then boom, I see it 2 years later or 6 months later. I've had that many times. And keep an eye out. You probably have too. Or maybe you're not wishing, it's nothing wrong with desiring, and you don't need to have everything you desire in every moment that you exactly desire it. But part of being a human being is having desires. Oh no, I broke this guy, but I'll fix him. It's a pendulum. Anyways, yeah, there we are at 40 minutes. Yeah, that didn't go quite like I was expecting, but I'm going to leave it there. Peace. Happy Canada Day. I'm not really so keen on the Corporation of Canada. I would like to see a transcendence and evolvement for collective decision making. And I'm kind of keen on the idea of sovereign Alberta. Alberta separating from Canada, which is a movement, very divisive one. The reason why is not because I believe in politics and that they can even solve that, but I do feel that reducing the number of population in the collective decision-making process would be, I think, a good first step. However, because we are entangled and entrained into a weird legal, political, economic system, it's hard to imagine. However, I do think grassroots, remember the Bugs Life? They outnumber us 100 to 1. And the minute they figure that out, there goes our way of life. Be free, but be kind and be connected and be willing to understand other people and other points of view. Willingness is a really important requirement, and collect around inspiring vision. How about that? Let's do that. I know we can. I know we can. We'll figure it out. I know that we can. It may take great courage at first. Haha. I think this is a good time to end. And where do I end my recording? Oh my goodness. There it is.